weeks. It's time to go flying.
In the annals of human spaceflight, the end of the Space Shuttle program is more than the end of an epic era. The launch of the last Space Shuttle this month leaves Russia a winner by default in the space race. And as the Atlantis becomes a prized museum piece, our longtime rivals are poised to have the world's only operational manned spaceflight program. NASA will have to buy passenger tickets on vintage Soyuz spacecraft to ferry astronauts to the International Space Station. The Soyuz was developed by the former Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War in the 1960s. Today, it's launched by Roscosmos, the Russian Federal Space Agency. It may be 3 to 5 years or longer before the U.S. can again carry people into space under its own power on a new generation of experimental commercial rockets and crew capsules currently being developed. The politics aside, the real space race has been about competing engineering approaches to human spaceflight. The Soyuz capsules are launched on massive expendable rockets, carrying astronauts in a kind of guided cannonball to and from orbit. In principle, they're not so different from the Apollo moon capsules of the 1960s. By contrast, the Shuttle is a sleek, reusable, winged spacecraft piloted by astronauts who can land it from orbit like a glider. It is the most complex flying machine ever built, and the most multi-purpose. Each craft contains more than 2.5 million parts and 230 miles of wiring, operating at extremes of speed, heat, cold, gravity, and vacuum. But like the Soyuz capsules, the Space Shuttle is a vintage Cold War artifact. Working in the 1970s, NASA's shuttle designers promised to make civilian manned spaceflight cheap, safe, and routine, a jumping-off point for human voyages to other planets. They won political approval for the shuttle project in part by offering the Pentagon a craft tailored to military specifications that could dominate the strategic high ground of space. But in reality, the Space Shuttle was never cheap. The flights cost almost 100 times more than the $10.5 million each first promised. And the program came with tremendous risks. All told, 14 U.S. astronauts died in 2 shuttle wrecks. After the Challenger accident in 1986, the Pentagon abandoned the Space Shuttle. It demolished the multi-billion-dollar launch complex in California and ripped out the control consoles at its secret shuttle command center in Colorado. But the Space Shuttle soldiered on as a hard-driving civilian space truck. In 30 years of flights, the craft deployed more than 50 satellites into orbit. They carried more than 3 million pounds of cargo and 355 people from 16 countries into space. They launched interplanetary probes and major orbital observatories, including the Hubble Space Telescope. They enabled the construction of the $100 billion International Space Station. For all that, many analysts today consider the entire shuttle program a magnificent failure. For all its accomplishments, it never made human spaceflight safe, affordable, or routine. And critics say its high cost blocked the development of better vehicles for human spaceflight. Each seat on the Russian Soyuz is going to cost NASA $63 million. For the Wall Street Journal, I'm science writer Robert Lee Hotz.